Do you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Hello, everyone. This is Harold Green of Bright Tree Wealth Management, and it is time to stop doing what you hate. I hope you are having a great and wonderful day. I'm doing pretty good. It's pretty early here in Vegas. It's Monday morning for me. I think I recorded a show on Friday about understanding risk tolerance. And so today I'm going to follow that show up in regards to risk tolerance and different things like that, because, I honestly think I can do a whole probably 10-piece series on risk tolerance and just kind of really dig down into it, because I do believe that's the missing part in understanding the investment world. And I believe that too many people out there are simply avoiding risk or taking the wrong kinds of risk and really just really not knowing and understanding. And so today, the title of today's show is going to be increasing your risk tolerance. And so basically it's how to increase your risk tolerance if necessary and so on and so forth. But before I get into today's show, I want to talk a little bit about something that I've been challenged with. I usually don't share a lot of personal stuff, but lately I've just kind of really been challenged with some things. And I think I was sharing with someone the other day that my whole goal is to seek the truth. I really want to know the truth. I don't just settle for what anyone tells me and just kind of go with what they said. So, I had to have a conversation with some professionals, and quite honestly, they're the professionals in their field. They trained for it. They went to school for it. And, they began telling me, I saw several of these people with different, just asking questions and things like that. Because how I say all investments carry a risk of loss, make sure you do your due diligence before investing, and then, make sure you get a second and third opinion and things like that. Past performance is no guarantee of future results, right? So I'm the same way in my personal life. I'll go get a second opinion, a third opinion, a fourth opinion. I'll talk to several different people because I really like to take my time. And because I do my own research, I don't have to go for school to something to understand the questions that I need to ask. And that's the most important thing to do when you're talking to professionals, is to ask the right questions. And a lot of times people don't know what to ask because they didn't do the research to understand what they should be asking. And the phrase that I hate the most is, how does that sound to you? It's like, how does it sound to me? I don't know what I'm doing. Like, how does that sound to me? How should it sound? And so you have to understand how to ask questions and things like that. And so I didn't agree with a lot of the stuff that I heard. And first of all, I said, why are you telling me this? Why is it that this is my only option here? Do I not have other options? No, this is what we recommend. This is what you ought to do. And I said, forget it. I'm not doing that. I'm going to go figure out something else. I'm going to buy myself some time and I'm going to go figure out something else. And I will, because I'm doing the research. I pray about it and I ask the Lord, hey, I don't like what these people are telling me. And for me, if this person is not wholeheartedly serving God and reading their Bible, I feel like I'm putting my life at risk with this person. Yeah, they have training, they've studied for it, but there's a missing element here. It's the search for the truth, not what's widely accepted in the world, but the truth. And today I want to talk about the truth about risk tolerance. Okay. And I have a couple of questions, and I have a lot of questions, but I'm just going to kind of break it down. So are you ready? 1, 2, 3, let's get it. Increasing risk tolerance. Question number 1, is taking risk an element of faith? I'm going to ask it again. Let that sink in. Is taking risk an element of faith? And what is faith? It's basically the belief in the unknown, a belief in a particular type of outcome that hasn't manifested itself yet. So one of the things I talk to people about faith is you have to go from believing to knowing. That's the next level of faith. It's you go from believing to knowing. And some people say, I have faith that, my children are going to do the right thing when they grow up. Or they say, I have faith in you that, you're going to make the right investment choices. I want my clients to go from having faith in me to knowing. And the only way you're going to go from faith level to the knowing level is by a relationship. And people say, well, I hope my wife doesn't cheat on me. You got to go from hoping to knowing. I'm not saying nothing is guaranteed, but the probability here is what I'm getting at. What is the probability that that would happen? And how do we reduce the negative probability? This is the whole thing about risk tolerance. I believe it's about doing the work. Understanding risk tolerance, increasing risk tolerance, it's about doing the work that needs to be done. So, number one, you have like two choices here. And then I'm going to get into the rest of my conversation in a second. But you have two choices. Number one, you can hire someone to determine the level of risk to take and when. Okay. Or number two, you can learn how to increase your risk tolerance on your own. But first, we have to answer the question as to why are we taking risk in the first place? And this is a show about retirement, but I think it's much more than about retirement because I'm looking at getting you way past retirement. I'm looking at getting my clients to the point where not only do they have enough for retirement, most of them do now, but now they can make a difference in the world with their charitable giving and things like that. I have a charitable advisor in philanthropy designation. They call it a CAP. So I have a CAP. And my goal is to see my clients utilize their wealth to begin to make an impact in certain areas in the world, in their world. And I would say in their community. Okay. We got to qualify that. So let's get into this thing. And another question I have is this: is trust the magic bullet to increase risk tolerance? Or another word for trust is faith. Is that the magic bullet? Because let me see how I can put this. A lot of my clients will say, Harold, I know you got this. I have faith in you. I have confidence in you. I have the utmost supreme respect for what you're doing. And I said, great, I appreciate that. But I don't like what we call blank checks for trust. You wrote me a blank check for your trust, a blank check. I can do anything. I said, that's great. But here, the reason why I do these market minutes and the reason why I do these podcast shows is so that I can teach you and explain to you exactly what it is that I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So therefore, there is no more blank check for trust. It's a partnership. So how does that apply to the risk? Some people, like I said, they say, hey, I trust you 100%. I see the market going up and down, but you've explained to us what your process is. You've shown us over time how this thing works. And we have confidence. We have faith in what you're doing. And so I appreciate that. And that's why I work extremely hard for my clients, because I don't want to let them down. I don't want to violate the faith and the trust that they've put in me and my firm and my team to do what we do. So you can either hire somebody to determine the level of risk, or you can learn to do it on your own. So today I want to talk about, if you're doing it on your own, how I look at things. So I'll give you a sneak peek into my mind and how I look at things. And the first thing I look at is I look at a person's time horizon. And for me, the time horizon is always 30 years. Like, I don't care when you come in to see me, the time horizon is always 30 years. If you are 25 years of age, the time horizon is 30 years. That's basically 55. So we have 30 years to invest like crazy, because when you turn 55, then I'm going to look at another 30 years. And from 55 to 85, what's going to be happening in that 30 years? Okay. And then I break it down into seasons of risk. And so the question I say, okay, so where are we at right now in the market? What's going on? And then I begin to build their portfolios based on the current scenario. And I don't care where a client is. There's somebody is always in a 30-year process, whether it's the kid that's 25 just starting out or the person that's 55 that just retired. They're all in a 30-year process. They're all in some kind of bucket and a season in time. So that's why we have to get the time horizon, get that straightened out. And then I look at it and say, okay, well, what's the worst case scenario here? And we begin to formulate that. And the next question I ask about this trade is, what has to go right for me to make money? What has to go right for me to make money in this option? All right. If I'm going to put, say, $5,000 in an option or layer in $10,000 into an option, what has to go right? In other words, what are the tailwinds pushing my theme? What are the tailwinds that are going to reward my risk taking here in this particular strategy? Do I have backup? Are there others in the boat with me that have a vested interest in this thing working out? And if there is, the stronger the profit probability, most likely the larger amount of the position is going to be in a client's portfolio. If the profit probability is at 47%. So when we do our research and we look at, okay, a particular option, first of all, we understand what the theme is. So I'll give you an example. I'll go back to Amazon. And it's usually in a stock that's been beaten up or hasn't been performing, that everybody has poo-pooed on. And there's pundits talking bad about it. There's narratives been written. They're writing the death sentence for the position. And the worst case scenario is being promoted left and right. And so, okay, that looks attractive to me. Because again, as a person of faith, I'm looking at the future. I have a strong belief in the future. It's not guaranteed for us to be here in the future, but I believe that we will be here. And so my understanding is I work towards, hey, if I'm here 20 years from now, what do I want that to look like? If this client is alive 30 years from now, what do I want their life to look like? And I look at it like that. But the profit probability has to be high for me. And sometimes I'll get in a trade where the profit probability is not that high, but then also the amount of the trade is not that big. For example, we'll be in a stock that not too many people have heard about. It's on people's radar, but then I'll buy an option on it because of some variety of different reasons and say they may have a 20% profit probability. I usually don't like those. I like anything between a 25 and a 30% profit probability. Okay. That's what I like. The higher, the better. But it's also a matter of price. And so there's a lot that goes into it. I might break that down right one day. But then I also look at I just look at what has to go right for me to make money. What they call it aligning the stars, or, tailwinds or whatnot versus the headwinds in a position. So, and then I also look at the other side. What has to go right for me to make money? And then what has to go wrong for me to lose money on this particular trade? It's hard to say like what can go wrong. I mean, because a lot of things can go wrong. But the question is what are the chances? Like a chance of rain or a chance of a problem. And then the question is, okay, the position may lose money on paper, but I could be down 20, 30% on paper. But if that's a short term, like if it's just going to rain and thunder for the day, then, I don't have to worry about like a 40-day monsoon or something like that. Right. But you could get into a position where it's like raining straight for 30, 40 days, which normally doesn't happen in the market. And I said something in my last show that I probably have to correct, because I said in the stock market, you're not supposed to say anything about guarantees. But I said this, I said, you're guaranteed to make money and lose money. And I have to correct that, because you're not guaranteed to make money and you're not guaranteed to lose money. The thing is you will make money sometimes and sometimes you'll lose money. Now, if you get in a trade and it goes up and you sell it, you make money. You get in a trade, it goes down and you sell it, you lose money. So again, it's just understanding time, chance, probability, and different things like that. But if I see the writing on the wall, like for example, what has to go wrong for me to lose money? Normally what we do is we say, okay, let's take a look at it like this. If this goes wrong, then what do we do? If this goes right, then what do we do? Most people don't really understand the market, and they don't understand that you always have to either be buying or selling, either buying or selling. Very seldom are you just simply holding everything in your portfolio and doing absolutely nothing. That's why sometimes a client will look at my calendar, they can't find a spot to get in. Because even if I'm not seeing clients, it doesn't mean I'm not doing anything. It means either we're researching, we're rotating the portfolios, we're dealing with some kind of compliance thing where we're trying to make sure we're compliant in all these different areas. There's a lot of work to be done versus just sitting down talking to people all day about their situation, which I believe we do a great job of being proactive versus reactive. So things hardly ever come up unless there's just an issue on the client side where they just had something happen and now we have to address those things. But if we look at it and say, okay, if we're losing money in this position, and I say the only time we lose money is if we sell a position and it's down. Otherwise, it's just a paper loss. But if it's going down and I believe in the thesis of it, then what we do is we simply layer in. But if the position starts going down and we don't see any better hit, let's say the story changes in a second. Let's say we had clear and sunny skies, everything was blowing, the wind was good, and all of a sudden a storm pops up and it just looks like, hey, this thing is going to get worse and worse and worse. I'll give you an example. There's this company called Astera Labs. And earlier this year, we were in it. And we made good money in that position. I think we were up like 90%, and it started to slide. And I had just did a market minute for the clients, and I said, hey, this ALAB thing, man, this is going to be the future. It's on fire. We're going to ride it, ride it, ride it. All of a sudden, the story changed, the narrative changed. And then it started going into like a correction of 10, 15, 20%. And I'm like, told my analyst, I said, hey, we're out of here. Let's go. Let's bail on this. He's like, what? Why don't we just add to it? I said, no, not this time. And so what we did is we got out of it, and we were up like 70 or 80%. We got out, and I had a client call and said, hey, Harold, this thing is supposed to be so good. Why don't you like buy more? I thought you said it was on fire. I said it was, but the story changed. And I said, I'm out. And I said, I can get out and then wait for a cheaper entry point. And that's what we did. So I tell you, it was about a month or two later. It had to be more than a month, maybe 2 months later, something like that. We got back in at a cheaper price with a longer dated option. And I'm telling you, I think we're up like 300% right now. So we were up, I think, 90%. Then it slid to, I think, 75 to 80%. We got out. Then we got back in, and now it's up 300%. So I'm telling you, being active and understanding where you are in a particular season will allow you to take risks that are greater than you normally would take, because thesis is right, the timing is right, and you got it correct. It's like swinging at a ball. The pitcher is coming right down the middle of the plate. It's not breaking and it's not curving. Oh man. And you just lace it out of the park. And that's kind of like what we're looking for. But we have to look at something on the other side of this. Okay. Risk factors, right? Risk, basically headwinds. I think we talked about that. I'm not going to get too far into it, but there could be headwinds to your theme. They could just pop up out of nowhere. And then you have to pivot. It's okay to pivot. All right. That's what active management does. We pivot. We don't get it right all the time. And when we get it wrong, we have to quickly pivot and then make up those paper losses as soon as we possibly can. And that's what we do for our people. Now, so what can help us reduce our risk factors? Do I have backup? And I think I talked about it last time, the law of large numbers. How many large firms and institutions are layering in? How many are layering out, right? If I have big money coming into the position, then I know I'm not alone in my thesis. BlackRock is buying. Vanguard is buying. These guys got some of the best analysts in the world. And we have our analysts too. We look at our fundamentals, we look at our technicals, but we also look at who's coming with us, right? Who's there with us? Big buying. And I like to see that. Or who's there selling? Big selling. But then we're like, okay, why are they selling? Is it because they want to look smart on Wall Street? Are there storm clouds coming that we can't see that these guys can see? So we have to ask all these questions. Do we have backup? And then I look at it like this. Okay, I call it big money and small money. And big money, small money can help you really understand how to reduce your risk at a certain point, right? I'm trying to get this right. Your ability to handle risk is a little bit different than your financial ability to handle the risk, and your emotional ability is two different things. And one of the things that will help your emotional ability is by having your big money in the right place. Okay. For some people that are conservative, we look at having money in different places. And one of the things we have is, I believe in whole life insurance. And we have a ton of whole life insurance for our clients. I mean, we have a ton of whole life insurance. We're talking millions and millions and millions of cash and hundreds of millions of death benefit, if not billions, for our clients. And the thing about it is this: I use life insurance as a hedge, and I leverage my life insurance policies by taking loans on my policies. And you know how you would dollar cost average in a position with your paycheck? Basically, I just simply take a loan on my life insurance policy and dump it all in at one time. And then I pay my life insurance policy back every month. I drip it back in my life insurance policy. So if I'm doing it at the right time, say the market is down and I take 50,000 out of my policy and I dump it in the market when the fear and greed index is down to a doggone 3 or 4 or 15 or 16, I know there's only one place that fear and greed index can go, and that's back up again. Because normally the fear and greed index doesn't stay down to a 3 or 4 for like months and months and months. We're in a Great Depression if the fear and greed index goes down that far and never comes back up. We're in a problem. So again, that's time horizon. How long does it normally take for the fear and greed index to go from a 3 back to being greed again. It's a matter of months. I don't think it's been years. It's just a matter of months. So I understand that. And so my big money was in my life insurance policies before. And I would take from my life insurance policies and simply started buying stocks and options with it. And that worked out really well. We're paying our life insurance policy back over time. I know that someday I'll be able to sell my positions if I want and pay off all of my life insurance policies. But at a simple interest of 5%, why am I wanting to do that? Why am I in a hurry to just to sell my stocks that are up 500 to 2,000% and then give that money back to my policy? My policy is only paying me a small dividend every single year. That's my safe money. That's my big money that's safe over there. I don't have to worry about that. So that also allows me to take greater risk in the market at the right time. And we do the same thing for our clients that we do for ourselves. I teach them the same thing. And so then we get into the questions of sleeping at night. And some people, they just don't have the emotional makeup to handle the risk tolerance. And the reason why is because they never really have answered the question of why am I taking on this risk in the first place? And so I want to talk about that. If you're taking on risk or you hired me to take on risk, I'm doing it because we're doing it according to a plan that you have that we've created together. And it goes a little something like this. Okay, so how much do you think you're going to need in retirement? Well, we don't know. Then I say, okay, then if you don't know, then let's go shoot for what's possible. What's possible? What can we potentially achieve for you at retirement? So a client comes in and they have $500,000 and I say, okay, what's our time horizon? Yeah, no, we got 10 years. All right, so potentially in 10 years, what can that $500,000 be? Can it be $1 million? Can it be $1,000,005? And I'll say, I'll tell you what, let's shoot for $1,000,005. Can I guarantee that? No. But if we understand our time horizon and our season of sowing and reaping, then we have a better profit probability. It's like farming. Farmers know when to sow, and they also know when to harvest. The investment world is the same way. You talk about timing in the stock market. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about timing the stock market. I'm talking about coming up with a theme and a thesis that if it's done the correct way and you give it the correct amount of time, then the profit probability will be greater for you. There's a greater chance that you will get to where you need to be. And quite frankly, that's how we look at it. That's part one of it. But then after the retirement, once we build up enough money for retirement, the question is, why are we still taking this level of risk? Is it because now you want to build on your legacy for the kids? Do you want to give more away to your organizations that you champion and that you support? Because again, everybody is in a 30-year cycle for investing. Everybody has 30 years. Well, Harold, what about the 70-year-old? It doesn't matter. I look at it as if they have 30 years. Now, when they get to that level, let me qualify what I'm saying. We break down the risk into levels, into buckets. They have a short-term bucket, an intermediate bucket, and a long-term bucket. The short-term bucket is 5 years. The intermediate bucket is 5 to 10 years. The long-term bucket is basically, it could be 10 to 15 years or 15 to 20 years or 30 years, depending on their age. At that point, everybody is in what I call the bucket concept. Unless this person said to me, Harold, this is money I'm never going to need. I got so much money, I'm not going to run out. So here, you know what? Just put all this over here in the 30-year bucket. We're doing that all day because they understand that we are taking risk, the certain level of risk in certain positions in the right season. We are sowing in the right season. And that's what risk tolerance is all about. It's about sowing your money in the right positions in the right seasons. And then when your harvest springs up, if it does, then you take your crop, you harvest it, and then you take it to market. And for us, we sell the positions, we rotate them back. So is it an exercise in faith, right? Is faith the magic bullet to understanding how to increase your risk tolerance? I say yes and no, but it's also, again, about doing the work. I have faith in the work that we do. My clients have faith in the work that we do because the results are showing for themselves. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer, Do your work. 1 + 1 = 2. Stop following the pundit. Stay the heck off Reddit. You can use AI, but then don't always believe what AI says, because I've used AI and I looked at it and says, I don't agree with you. Just like I've gone to professionals that have studied something I needed done in my life for years, and they have a greater understanding than I do, but I just wasn't comfortable with the answers that I was getting, because I never settle for, this is it. This is all you get. I'm like, there's got to be more. Why are you not telling me what else is out there? It seems like you are not telling me the truth on purpose. And as I stated at the beginning of our conversation, I am on a quest for the truth. I do not believe a person that is retired ought to go into conservative mode. That's what has been taught to people. That's why people hit portfolio failure. You just have to understand the season that you're in and then learn how to take the risk, what you're doing with your big money, how to reduce your risk factors and things like that, and how to increase your profit probability. So I just wanted to share that with you folks today. If you think that this can help you and you want to have a conversation, go on the website, request an appointment, and we'll get in touch with you to help you understand how this goes, okay? Because no one should be sitting there suffering unnecessarily with poor performance, taking bad risk at the wrong time. These things can all be resolved. So thank you very much for allowing me to share today's show with you. I want you to have a great day and an awesome life. And until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.